lengthy licensing process for Flight 5 is absolutely not welcome news for SpaceX. Let's be real for a moment. Waiting for bureaucratic machinery like the FAA to change always takes too long. So, how can they escape the grip of the FAA? What proactive steps can SpaceX take specifically? Let's find out everything in today's episode. Oh, just a second. Don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on the latest news and analysis in the space industry. Thank you very much. The development of SpaceX's Starship is hitting one obstacle after another. It's been 4 months since the fourth test flight, yet Starship is still grounded, unable to launch again. Texas, the home of this ambitious project, is turning into a challenging environment for the next-gen rocket's development at the moment. The Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, with its overly complex regulations and bureaucratic approach, has emerged as the main villain in Starship's progress. The agency has repeatedly claimed that SpaceX violated both federal and Texas state laws, leading to multiple investigations and lengthy reviews. But it's not just the FAA breathing down SpaceX's neck. We have to know that several other agencies are involved in overseeing and evaluating the company's operations, including the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, FWS, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, TCEQ, and the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, among others. These organizations keep slamming SpaceX with accusations of various violations, leading to fines and significant delays for the Starship project. Too many agencies, operating around what's happening on the ground, are making decisions about what's supposed to soar into space. This tangled web of regulations is making Texas a bit uncomfortable for Starship to thrive in. Clearly, the legal framework needs to evolve to better support the future of space exploration. So, what can SpaceX do to free itself from this unnecessary red tape, temporarily shifting Starship operations to another location? I'm talking about Florida, the cradle of the U.S. space industry. In fact, SpaceX has long had detailed plans to deploy Starship from Florida. In their Environmental Impact Statement, EIS, SpaceX laid out an ambitious plan, up to 44 Starship launches per year from this location. What's impressive is how far ahead SpaceX has thought in planning for Florida. The company has prepared and secured approval for all possible launch and landing scenarios at Launch Complex 39A, LC-39A. These scenarios include landing on the Chopsticks system, landing on an offshore drone ship, and soft landing. This comprehensive approval strategy allows SpaceX to flexibly switch up Starship's landing methods without having to request additional permissions for every single adjustment, saving a tremendous amount of time. The good news is that the environmental review process in Florida is going relatively smoothly. So far, no major issues have popped up, and by moving operations here, SpaceX could avoid many of the environmental challenges they're facing at Starbase in Texas. Florida has a long history of balancing space activities with environmental protection, with clear procedures and regulations already in place. This could help minimize the conflicts and disputes that SpaceX is currently dealing with in Texas. Launching Starship from Florida feels kind of like bringing it to another home. It's the site of the largest launch complex in the world. From the early days of the Mercury program to the Apollo missions that took humans to the moon, and more recently, the Space Shuttle flight. Florida has seen thousands of rocket launches. Rockets have been launching from Florida for over 60 years, and the surrounding communities have no reason to expect these launches to slow down or disappear. It's like living next to an airport in a growing mid-sized city. You'd expect the number of flights to increase over time, not decrease. That's progress. That's development. Compared to Texas, local opposition in Florida is bound to be much less. In Florida, we also have the Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge, one of the largest and most diverse wildlife reserves in the state. And surprisingly, its existence is thanks to the Kennedy Space Center, KSC. This refuge is located within the KSC area and is protected by NASA, allowing nature to thrive undisturbed. KSC, of course, was the primary launch site for the Space Shuttle program. And, just so you know, for each launch, NASA used millions of gallons of water as part of the cooling and sound suppression system. The point is, this water wasn't exactly pure. Shuttle launches released a cocktail of contaminants, including ammonium perchlorate, aluminum powder, PBAN, and more. These substances had a far greater environmental impact than the methane and oxygen used in SpaceX's Starship. Given this historical context, SpaceX's use of the deluge system with drinkable water at KSC is unlikely to face much environmental criticism. It's a clear step up from what's been done in the past. In 2014, SpaceX signed a long-term 20-year lease with NASA for LC-39A, and in early 2023, SpaceX began construction of a Starship launch tower at this site. The tower's Mars location, about 1,000 feet, 300 meters, from the existing Falcon 9 launch pad, shows that SpaceX is making the most of the available space, aiming to support both Falcon 9's current launches and Starship's future plan. The LC-39 launch pads were originally built to handle rockets twice the size of Saturn V, and even with double the noise. They're absolutely capable of supporting the raw power of Starship, but SpaceX isn't stopping there. They're even looking to expand further by utilizing Space Launch Complex 37, SLC-37, at Cape Canaveral. This site was previously used for Delta IV Heavy launches. With Delta IV Heavy now retired, SpaceX quickly proposed converting this facility to support Starship's launch and landing operations. There's a lot going on in Florida, right? The question now is, will SpaceX abandon Starbase? Absolutely not. It's the gateway to Mars. Starbase is the heart and soul of SpaceX's interplanetary ambitions. SpaceX has poured billions of dollars into developing Starship at Starbase. This massive investment reflects the company's long-term commitment to the facility. SpaceX is continuously expanding the Starbase campus with new assembly buildings and high bays. Every day, over 3,000 SpaceX employees and contractors work at Starbase. This not only highlights the scale of operations, but also emphasizes Starbase's importance as a hub for innovation and production. SpaceX is also building a second launch tower at Starbase, right next to the existing tower. This will significantly boost their launch and testing capacity at the site. SpaceX expanding its operations to Florida doesn't mean the company is abandoning Starbase. On the contrary, it represents a smart and ambitious dual-pronged strategy. Starbase will continue to serve as the primary hub for research, development, and manufacturing. It's where SpaceX tests new ideas, refines design, and produces key Starship components. Starbase will remain the testing ground for trial flights, where SpaceX can adapt and improve based on the results. Meanwhile, Florida is likely to become a dedicated launch site in the future. SpaceX can leverage Florida's existing infrastructure and favorable regulatory environment to accelerate its commercial launch activities. Looking at the bigger picture, we can see an ambitious plan gradually taking shape. In the not-too-distant future, SpaceX could own and operate 4 Starship launch pads, 2 at Starbase in Texas and 2 in Florida. Having 4 active launch pads would create an unprecedented launch capacity in the history of commercial space exploration. And it's not just about the numbers, it's about flexibility and redundancy. Launching Starship in Florida will be a truly game-changing move. SpaceX can build additional infrastructure in Florida and shift launch operations there temporarily. And soon, we'll see launches alternating between Starbase and Florida. With Artemis 3 requiring multiple refueling flights, it's entirely possible that SpaceX will have the launch pads in Florida fully operational by the end of next year or early the following year. Looking further ahead, for Elon Musk's ultimate ambition of settling on Mars to become a reality, SpaceX will need even more launch pads. We might even see Starship launch in other regions of the U.S., like Las Vegas or California. However, rocket launches are heavily limited by geography, and I suddenly realized that the U.S. doesn't actually have that many ideal locations for rocket launches, especially for a powerful rocket like Starship. So one day, we may see Starship launching from the soil of another country, an allied nation with more rocket-friendly laws. All right, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth looks at the latest advancements in space technology. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.